Hey, this is Ray Mercer, WBO heavyweight champion of the world. You're listening to Ringside Boxing Show.
Live from Monterey on California's beautiful Central Coast, this is the Ringside Boxing Show. I'm Dennis Taylor, welcoming you to join me and my expert analysts, Travis Hartman, Rizwan Zahid, and John J. Responsi, today and every week for the hottest, sweatiest show on the West Coast. And now, from Studio 1A, it's the Ringside Boxing Show.
Hey, welcome to the Ringside Boxing Show on the Grueling Sports Network. I'm Dennis Taylor, and we got some interesting stuff straight ahead for you. In a short time, we're going to give you a very inside look at the training camp of one of the hottest young fighters in America, 21-year-old featherweight Ruben Villa IV, who you will see September 20th on Showtime in what is probably the biggest fight of his career so far. Ruben's 16-0. He's ranked number 8 by the WBO, and that fight is going to be against Enrique Vivas, who is 17-0. Ruben has spent the past several weeks training with Robert Garcia's gym in Riverside, California, and today he's going to give us a feel for what that's been like for him. We're also going to be joined by his trainers, Max and Sam Garcia, and his strategist, Dean Familton, to give you a real comprehensive look at what training camp is like for one of the rising stars in the sport. Before that, you're going to hear from our British correspondent, Paul McLaughlin, who's going to talk about the controversial ending to the Charlie Williams fight 2 weekends ago, and Joshua-Ruiz, the rematch, and Chris Eubank Jr.'s hostile words for BJ Sanders this week. But we'll lead it off by talking with our expert analyst, Travis Hartman, a professional boxer, trainer, and promoter from Osborne, Missouri. He's now living and training in Orlando, Florida. Rizwan Zahid is a boxing journalist from Toronto. John J. Responsi is chief lead writer for MaxBoxing.com and DogHouseBoxing.com. And John and I are co-authors of Intimate Warfare, the true story of Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward Boxing Trilogy, which was an Amazon bestseller. And right now, we've just got John with us. Travis and Riz may be catching up with us later. But, John, it's been a slow week in boxing, really. Mm-hmm. So what I want to do today is preview some of the best fights that are on the horizon between now and the end of the year. So, folks, get your crayons and pads ready because John is going to give his stone-cold locks right now, and we may be getting some input from Travis and Riz, too. Porter and Spence. September 28th, John. What do you see happening, and who do you like?
Well, I really like the fight. Before I tell you who I think is going to win, and I'm certainly going to be with the majority on this, but I really like the fight because we've had Sean Porter on our program a number of times, Dennis, and I think he's more motivated than ever to give his best performance. I don't think his best is enough. I hate to say that because we both like Sean so much as a person. But Errol Spence is just bigger and younger and stronger. And I think Sean is going to do everything he can. He's going to probably mix styles is what I'm thinking. Because as we know, he can box more. He can show that versatility because he's a hell of an athlete. But I just think Errol Spence is going to try to work downhill and beat him down, and he keeps talking about a knockout, which Sean has never been knocked out. He's barely been knocked down only a few times in his career. But I think Errol Spence probably win a decision, maybe a late stoppage. But I expect a good fight just because of Sean's determination, his courage, his competitiveness, and is an upset possible? Yes, because we really haven't seen Errol Spence go in, be brought. Had to go into the deep waters and pull himself out, and I think that's what Sean is planning. He wants to get him in the deep waters and try to drown him. I don't see it happening. I think Errol Spence wins that fight.
How about Golovkin-Derevyanchenko, October 5th?
Very interesting fight. Two highly acclaimed amateurs. Golovkin, long in the tooth, as we know, 37 years old, slowed down for sure. People can say some people don't seem to think they see it. It's obvious. He's lost a step or half a step. Derevyanchenko gave Jacobs a pretty damn good fight. But I think Golovkin still has enough left to win. I think he's got such a good jab, Dennis, that that's his key in this fight. I think he sets the plate, puts the food on the table with the with the jab and then knocks it off with his right hand, his left hook. He's a very good Golovkin's a better boxer than a lot of people give him credit for, so I see him winning a tough, grueling fight, though. I expect it to be close for a while, but I think Golovkin wins it, again, by either a late stoppage or a decision, but that should also be a very good one.
Okay, this is an interesting one to me. Alexander Gvozdyk against Artur Beterbiev on October 18th. What happens there?
Boy, that is a tough one. Stone cold locks, huh? I can't give you a stone cold lock on that one. I have to study that one a little bit more. We should come back to that one later. But
okay.
They're both good.
We can put that off for another week if you want.
Yeah, put that one off for a week. Let me think about that one. I haven't given that one much thought yet. But, man, that right now, it's 50-50 fight. But, yeah, let's come back to that one.
One of our favorite guys, the Rougarou, Regis Prograis, has Josh Taylor, a stud from the UK, October 26th. That's talk about 50-50 fights. Is it, or is the Rougarou going to take this one?
It is. I think it is. And your relative, Josh Taylor, Dennis, he's a ballsy fighter. He can fight. I just have a feeling that the Rougarou is going to take him. And I'll tell you why. I expect it to be just what we're thinking. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be fiery. I think the Rougarou is going to do what I just said that Sean Porter wants to do to Errol Spence. I think he's going to get him late. I think he's going to drown him late and take him into the later rounds to drown him, because I've seen Josh Taylor lose a little focus later in fights and look a little vulnerable. And I think that's going to happen. But, again, this is one of those fights that if Josh Taylor wins the decision or maybe even stops the Rougarou, you're not going to be surprised. But I'm just going by feeling here because it is a 50-50 fight. But, yeah, the Rougarou, I just think he's got enough, a little bit more than Josh Taylor to just edge him. You know, we're talking split decision if it goes the route.
You know, in a few minutes, I'm going to be talking to Ruben Villa on this show. He was a 15-time national amateur champion, and 3 years ago, he beat Shakur Stevenson twice in the same year in the amateurs before losing to him at the Olympic trials. Shakur Stevenson has Joet Gonzalez on October 26th. This is a world title eliminator. Joet Gonzalez is 23-0, and Shakur is 12-0, 7 knockouts, and of course, went to the Olympics.
Yeah, Shakur's looking pretty special at this point. Maybe that's the wrong word. I shouldn't say special. Looking very good. Let's say that 12 fights. He didn't have the glittering amateur record of, say, a Lomachenko. We knew Lomachenko was special immediately, so I'm not going to say special, but he's getting better and better with every fight. Dennis, his confidence, which was already there, is high. I think he wins that fight. He's starting to get a little bit more, and he's more of a boxer than a puncher, but he's mixing it up. He's very impatient to win a title, so I think he wins that fight pretty handily, actually.
Canelo is going to fight Kovalev November 2. That's exciting. That's an interesting fight. Kovalev's a big guy. Canelo's going to come up in weight. Might be at a catch weight. Probably will be a catch weight. Who do you like in that one?
Well, I really like Kovalev's jab, and I think that's going to give Canelo problems for a while because, you know, you're going to remember, Kovalev is standing inches away from him when we were talking. He's the same height as me. We're both 6'1". Canelo is barely 5'9", so he's going to be bobbing and weaving and moving, but he's a lot quicker, and Kovalev is not that fast, as we know. So I think Kovalev is going to stab him with that jab for a number of rounds. Canelo's going to be ripping to the body, into the head. I think Canelo takes it by stoppage. A lot of people are saying body shots. That certainly could be because, as we know, Kovalev does not like it to the body. Canelo's got a beautiful left hook to the body, so you know he's going to be trying to set that up. Andre Ward showed how it can be done. Even Yarde hurt Kovalev to the body, so you know Canelo and his brain trust knows this. But I don't think it's going to be easy. And Kovalev, if it was a couple years ago, Dennis, I would say, oh, man, this is dangerous for Canelo. But Kovalev is teetering. I think he's ready to be beat again, so I think Canelo will win that fight.
November 7th in Japan, we've got the World Boxing Super Series Championship between Naoya Inoue, the Monster, and Nonito Donaire, the Filipino Flash. One of the great younger fighters in the world against an absolute first ballot Hall of Famer, the Filipino Flash. Who do you like?
Sounds like one of those old Japanese movies, The Monster Against the Flash.
It does,
like Godzilla.
Yeah.
Godzilla show up any second. But the Monster, I love Donaire. I do. We've loved Donaire for years. He's a classy guy. He was a little fortunate in the tournament that he got to the finals. But I don't want to take anything away from Donaire. He wants to fight everybody. As I said, he's a gentleman. The Monster, though, I don't even know if he's in his prime yet, Dennis, which is scary. I mean, he can really punch. Donaire fought a monstrous puncher, not as monstrous, but he did when he fought the straw man. Nicholas Walters got knocked out in 6. He wobbled Walters, so that's what I see. I think Donaire definitely has a chance, more than a puncher's chance. I think even at 36, he's obviously still skillful. He's gutsy going down in weight. Like that, he knew he would probably face this guy and he's facing him. But I just think that it's just too much at this point in his career. He's a little slower, but if he's going to give himself the best chance to win, it's probably at this weight because he does look better at this weight than he did at the higher weight. So I think Inoue takes it. I think you probably stop him, not in 2 or 3 rounds like he stops most guys, maybe later. But I think Donaire's going to have moments, and if he can hurt Inoue, that's a great thing about boxing, Dennis, is when these guys are knocking out everybody, you always have that little doubt about their chin, and I don't even know if Inoue's been hit that solidly. I'm sure he has because I haven't seen all his fights. But as we know, the Filipino Flash has that great left hook. So I think it was either last week or 2 weeks ago, you said Donaire said something about whoever makes first mistake loses. That could be, and if the Monster knows all about that left hook too. So, but if he gets careless, if he gets reckless, and drops his right hand a little bit, and Donaire times him perfectly and hits him with that left hook, that could be it. That's the kind of punch that Donaire has with that left hook. I think Inoue takes it, like I said, probably by stoppage, but Donaire will be in that fight. Maybe not a real live underdog, but he's definitely got a chance.
Okay, November 23rd, we got the Wilder-Luis Ortiz rematch. What happens there?
That's, again, Wilder, we've had him on the show, Dennis. You and me, we got a soft spot for Wilder. We'll admit it. He's funny as hell. He tells it like it is. I mean, I like him. You can criticize him for all you want for his boxing style or lack thereof, but he says it all. This, again, is risky. He's not being like Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury and him are supposed to be fighting in February. Tyson Fury fights next Saturday. He's fighting a lot of guys that are very low risk, Otto Whalen and Schwartz, right? He fought. Who are those guys? We hadn't even heard of them. Luis Ortiz, no matter how old Luis Ortiz, no matter how old he is, he might be pushing 50. He's got skills, and he can give Wilder problems, and he did in the first fight. Thing is, he's a little older now, and his last fight. Speaking of Ortiz here, he looked vulnerable to me at times. He looked good, but he also looked vulnerable. So I think it's probably going to be a roller coaster fight. I'm a little surprised that Wilder is taking it because of the big rematch with Fury. Mm-hmm. He's rolling the dice a little bit because November, you think about it, November is not that far from February. So he must feel like he's going to blast Ortiz out of there early. And for his sake, I hope he does it because, as we saw in the first fight, Ortiz really had him hurt. He wobbled him. He had him staggering. I don't think that happens this time. Maybe a few moments of worry for Wilder, but I think it'll be a little easier this time for Deontay, and I think he wins by a stoppage again.
December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day in Saudi Arabia. Ruiz Joshua 2. This is the one that most people are waiting for.
Yeah, that one is another real intriguing one, and people are comparing it to the Lennox Lewis and Rahman. What happened in the second fight? Remember Lewis got knocked out in the first fight because he was he was in a movie and he really wasn't training much, and then he came back and knocked out Rockman in the rematch. Joshua wasn't in the movie in New York City. He might not have been as focused as he should have been. I think Ruiz surprised him. So this time he's not going to be surprised by anything Ruiz does. I think if he just changes a few things, even though I heard him saying he's not changing anything, which if that's the case, that's pretty silly. But I just think if he stays on the outside more and doesn't get as close and rumble, I think he can win a decision. But Ruiz we know what Ruiz is and we know what he brings. He's got faster hands than Joshua, which is a problem. So if Andy Ruiz can even him, if he could be a little more aggressive, because he's a counterpuncher, Dennis. If he can be a little more aggressive and take chances, and he got knocked down hard in the first fight, but he got up. He might be able to clip Joshua, even with Joshua boxing on the outside. And as we know, Joshua is susceptible. He's very vulnerable to temple shots, chin shots, whatever. His chin is obviously not very strong. I think Joshua wins it. Probably by decision. I think everybody in England wants that. Eddie Hearn wants that. That's where all the money is because all the big fights down the road. But Ruiz doing it again wouldn't surprise me either. So I give the edge to Joshua, but Ruiz could certainly win it.
Okay, last one for you because you got to hit the road. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is going to fight Daniel Jacobs December 14th. That was just announced. What do you think of that?
Really?
Yep.
At what weight? What, 180 or no?
Good question with Chavez Jr. always.
That's Jacobs. I mean, I'm surprised that Jacobs has taken that fight. Obviously, it's a tune-up. Julio Cesar Chavez, he's had some skill a few years ago. He's got a little bit of ability, but as we know, a lot of what happened with him was his name. But Jacobs takes that one. That's easy. He wins either by stoppage or decision. Probably stoppage. We never know about Julio. He's going to say here for months that he's in the best shape of his life and he's finally training. I hope he is. Because I read a lot about him, and he's not a bad guy or anything. It's just that he's been in the shadow of his dad, and he never can live up to that, and that's got to be tough. So I have some empathy for him there. But I think, obviously, Daniel Jacobs is going to be a big favorite going in, and there's a reason why, and he wins that fight.
Ringside Nation, that is your blueprint to wealth and profit from John J. Responti. Call your bookies. John, thank you. No pressure, buddy.
Yeah.
You have a great
thank
week.
You there. You too. Take care.
All right. John J. Responti on the Ringside Boxing Show. And by the way, next week, John and I are going to be talking to a Hall of Famer, Bobby Ches, on next week's show, and it is fascinating. He goes into an awful lot of different stuff, and that's definitely one you're going to want to hear. So, John J. Responti on the Ringside Boxing Show. We will be right back with Paul McLaughlin, our British correspondent, after this.
This show just makes me want to punish somebody.
What are you doing?
Hi, I'm Dennis Taylor, host of the Ringside Boxing Show, where since 2008 we have been continuously sponsored by Garcia Boxing, the first family of the sweet science on California's beautiful Central Coast. Trainers Max and Sam Garcia and ring strategist Dean Familton are regarded among the most knowledgeable in the game. And Kathy Garcia, who manages all Garcia boxing fighters, is renowned for her integrity and career guidance, having taken 2 boxers to #1 world rankings. Together they comprise one of the most respected teams in the sport. Learn more by calling 831-261-3214 or send them an email at garciaboxing25@aol.com.
Hi there, it's Paul McLaughlin with your weekly roundup of everything going on in the UK boxing scene at the moment. We first start off with Charlie Edwards, who retained his WBC title at the weekend when use of video replay resulted in a no contest. But will VAR soon be introduced into boxing? Now, the British flyweight was left distraught after a late punch from Julio Cesar Martinez led to a third-round knockout. But WBC President Mauricio Suleiman immediately overturned the result as a no contest, citing the governing body's willingness to use instant replay to address controversial incidents. Following the widespread use of VAR in football, the British Boxing Board of Control confirmed that they would be open to discussion about the possibility of introducing technology to assist officials. So, what were Charlie Edwards' thoughts after the bout?
It feels like a bit of a movie, like I don't know what's gone on. It feels I blinked and I'm here and don't know what's what, but like I said, we go again. I've been in worse situations, and the main thing is I'm fit, I'm healthy, I'm safe, back home to my family, and we just basically have to go back and see what was what, and then talk amongst each other and decide what's what.
To be fair, I thought he was on his way out, but who am I? Elsewhere, Anthony Joshua has vowed to expose Andy Ruiz Jr. in their World Heavyweight Championship rematch. Ruiz Jr. shocked Joshua to win the IBF, WBA and WBO titles in June, but a second fight will take place in Saudi Arabia on the 7th of December. A little blip should not change you as a person, Joshua said at the press conference on Wednesday. Now, Joshua and Ruiz went face-to-face for the first time since that first fight when they reconvened on Wednesday in Saudi Arabia, the location of their rematch. Ruiz Jr. told us he'll bring his A game and I'll bring mine. I said I would win, I said I would pull off an upset, but nobody believed me except my team. Well, I cannot wait for that rematch. And finally, Chris Eubank Jr. has accused Billy Joe Saunders of avoiding him, but warns he will get what's coming when they eventually share a ring together. A potential rematch between the two Brits, who both fought most recently at super middleweight, has been mooted since the first fight in November 2014. Saunders won that fight in London by split decision, but Eubank Jr. insists he will get his revenge and used some harsh words in a recent interview.
The only reason he's known is because of me. I'm the only fight that people care about him being in. There's nobody else that people have said, oh, I wish I'd see Saunders fight him. They want to see me. Whereas I have so many options. I've had big money fights. He hasn't fought for a lot of money. He's still looking for that big payday, which is why he's always talking about me, because he knows I'm the money guy. Without me, he's just gonna get the regular paydays like he's been getting for his entire career. He's desperate, which is why he was cheating, which is why he was using performance-enhancing drugs.
Right, that's your lot from me this week. I'll be back next week with some more UK boxing news. In the meantime, gloves up and protect yourselves at all times. Back to the studio.
Hey, thank you, Paul McLaughlin, all the way from jolly old England. Hope everything is going well for you over in Boris Johnson country. We feel your pain, my friend.
I don't want you living with roaches.
I'm Dennis Taylor, co-author of the Amazon bestseller Intimate Warfare, the true story of the Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward boxing trilogy. You know, writing this book was a labor of love for John J. Responti and myself. We enjoyed every minute of the process and considered it a privilege to tell the tale of one of the most electrifying boxing trilogies in the history of this sport. Intimate Warfare traces the collision course of Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward from their earliest days through their 3 epic fights, as well as the aftermath of this great rivalry, which culminated in one of the greatest friendships in boxing. Intimate Warfare has received a 4.5-star rating from readers and was endorsed by Hall of Famers Harold Letterman and Joe Cortez and 2-time Trainer of the Year Virgil Hunter. Our foreword was written by Ray Boom Boom Mancini, another one of the greatest blood and guts fighters of our time. Get your copy today at Amazon.com.
Welcome back to the Ringside Boxing Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm Dennis Taylor, and on September 20th on ShowBox, The New Generation, you're going to see one of the most exciting young featherweights in the world, 21-year-old Ruben Villa IV from Salinas, California, who will be defending a 16-0 record in the WBO International Featherweight Championship against Enrique Vivas, who is 25. He's from Texcoco, Mexico, now living and training in Montebello, California. Vivas is 17-0. He's got 9 knockouts. And we are joined right now by Ruben Villa and his entire Garcia boxing team, trainers Max and Sam Garcia and strategist Dean Familton. They've been at Robert Garcia's gym. Robert Garcia is no relation to the Garcias, in Riverside, California, getting ready for a key fight in Ruben's career. Welcome, guys. Hey, I am seeing on the Facebook post by Sam that the bugs in Riverside are a lot bigger and meaner looking than the ones up here in Central California. Sam, which one is your favorite?
My favorite bug?
Yeah. You seen anything that's pretty daunting?
I like the little grasshoppers that hang out in the bush by our door. There's all kinds of crazy stuff out here. There's a dead turtle that didn't make it because of the heat. All kinds of weird stuff out here. Praying mantises. Get attacked by ants over here. Crazy.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot of fun for you guys. So, hey, Ruben and Vivas have seen each other before, Max. They sparred together a while back. Tell us about that.
We in last training camp back in April. We arriving at Robert's gym, and him and his trainer, Vivas and his trainer, were sitting there waiting for the gym to open, waiting for sparring. So they asked me what weight was Ruben. I said 126. He said, "You want to spar?" I said, "Yeah." So actually, that was like our first sparring session. So we went 4 rounds with him, and we were just playing it clean, like we were like just working on defense for those 4 rounds. But they never came back. They found out who we're fighting. I guess our last opponent must have been a friend or something, because they knew him real well. So they didn't want to come back and spar with us.
Hey,
only had 4 rounds with us.
Ruben, what do you remember about that day? Did you learn some things about him that you felt you could use this time around?
I remember him just being real aggressive, and it was our first day of sparring, so we were just getting back into the groove. So, maybe the last 2 rounds I started, loosening up and started really connecting on him. So, like I said, it was our first day of sparring, so I can't wait to show him what I got. Once we got a full camp's worth in.
And he was kind of at the end of his training camp, right? Getting ready for a fight. So he'd been in.
Yeah,
camp.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Dean Familton, you're the ring strategist. You're the guy who kind of comes up with most of the game plan here. What is Vivas' skill set? What kind of abilities do you expect him to bring into the ring that night? What kind of style?
He's pretty fundamentally sound. He doesn't do anything out of the ordinary. He's kind of your textbook fundamental, come forward, plant your feet, try to wing in hard right hands, and he has a pretty good body attack. So if you're in his distance, if you're in his range, he's going to throw. He's super active, strong kid, confident, undefeated, and I think I might have mentioned he's not gonna vary much from what he does. His last couple fights, we've looked at the tape, we've seen what he does, and I don't think he's gonna vary much from that. And if he does, we'll make adjustments.
So, Dean, what are you hoping to see from Ruben on September 20th?
More of what we've been seeing. I mean, it's kind of like a broken record with Ruben and even a lot of our fighters, but we tend to like a certain style of boxing, and we like our fights to unfold a certain way. So if you've seen Ruben in the past, we want more of that. But I think with this kid, Vivas, and his come forward style, I think we will see, or I would like to see us. We have to start fast with this kid because this kid comes out of the gate really hot. He's going to start quick. So I know we're not going to try to go out and
and force action early, but we need to be sharp early just because this kid is going to start at a fast pace. So I want to make sure we're ready to start quick. And I think given our last opponent, who was just a highly, highly unorthodox boxer, if you saw that, I'm looking for Ruben to, and not that he looked bad in his last fight. I thought he did a good job against what we were in against. But I just want to look a little sharper, a little more on point right out of the gate. I don't think it'll take us as many rounds as it did to just fully control this fight. I'm looking for that, truthfully, right from the get-go, right from the jump. I want to control everything, every minute of every round in this fight.
Sam, you do a lot of research on Ruben's opponents, too. Is this guy another step up? Is this going to be his toughest opponent yet, you think?
Yeah, it'll probably be his toughest opponent in terms of the kid being in his prime and being a young, up-and-coming fighter himself. So mentally, this guy's going to be very confident, and he's going to think, or he believes he's at the same level, if not a higher level than Ruben. So to deal with somebody like that is kind of difficult. There's been guys that have a lot more experience, or guys that have, the last guy he fought was ranked number 10 by the WBO, and he was actually the defending WBO international champion. So to fight a guy on paper like that is a big step up. For this guy, it's just a different kind of step up in that he's a former, WBC regional title holder himself. He has 0 losses. He has a lot of knockouts. So, coming in, he's thinking it's an opportunity for him to show that he's the main prospect. And he's also promoted by Mikey Garcia. So, he has some backing. It's not like, just some guy from Mexico who nobody's ever seen or heard of. And, you just see this built-up record. He's got some people behind him that have money invested in him. He's got a really good trainer. He trains out of Southern California. So, this is a big fight. This is a big fight for us.
You guys have done most of your training for this at Robert Garcia's gym in Riverside. Max, why is that an ideal place for you to set up camp for this?
Well, our tough work is done at home. Our conditioning, our running the mountains and steps, the beach or whatever we do over there, track. But Robert Garcia's got 30 professional fighters, and they're all, that's their job. So the sparring is awesome. That's why we come here, and they accommodate us with everything we need. Robert really likes, and the crew there, they like Team Garcia out of Salinas and Team Villa. But their sparring sessions are awesome.
Ruben, who'd you spar with down there?
I'm sparring with my former opponent, Ruben Cervera, and Aaron Morales.
What do they bring to the table for you in terms of this fight?
Ruben, he's a real strong guy, a little heavier than me, so, he really applies pressure, and also Aaron Morales also applies a lot of pressure, and they both bring different kind of pressure to me, so that when this guy's coming forward the first half of the fight, we're going to be ready for that and ready to adjust to the pressure he brings.
What's been the focus for you in training camp? What kind of things have they been trying to improve on for you?
Just boxing. Like I always am focused on my boxing, being smart, and just always being composed, no matter what happens, or what I have to adjust to, as soon as possible, and really just controlling the ring, being in the middle of the ring, and controlling my opponent with my jabs and my feet movement, and just the smaller stuff like that, but it's gonna go a long way for me in this fight.
Ruben, training camp is a part of boxing that fans don't see. It's a grind, and it can get monotonous if you don't mix things up. How do you stay motivated? Every time I see your picture on Facebook or a video, you're smiling. How do you stay motivated and interested for weeks at a time?
Yeah, just wanting to do better, in sparring sessions and really wanting to look good for this fight. It's going to be on Showtime, so always, wanting to look better each fight and learning after each fight. So, I've been doing this for so long. It's just, wanting to get better every time I go out there and perform.
Sam, your dad just mentioned that there's 30 professional fighters training in that gym. What's the atmosphere, the energy like in Robert Garcia's gym?
It's very competitive, but very friendly. It's kind of a weird dynamic in that there's not a lot of jealousy or negativity or hatred. Sometimes you get into gyms, like back in the day we used to go to Wild Card back in the mid-2000s, and everybody knew each other, but there was a certain edge there. It was also like people trying to take your head off and trying to use you as a stepping stone, almost as if it was a real fight, instead of working on their craft and getting better. So in this, when you walk into Robert Garcia's atmosphere, everybody's very secure with themselves. They all kind of know their position and the path that they're on. Everybody has a goal of being a world champion there. So you still get that competitive edge. You still get that intensity when you need to. But they also know how to work, and everybody's kind of working on their own craft. And I mean, Robert's a great guy, and he just the way he runs his gym is just very lax, but at the same time he's very respectful, and he's so respected by everybody else that kind of everybody just does their thing and stays in their lane. So it creates a great atmosphere.
A big reason fighters leave home to train is if there are fewer distractions, and Ruben is a hometown kid. Up there, Max, there's nothing to do but focus, right? Is that why you like going out of town for certain fights?
Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying, a big reason fighters leave home to train is that there are fewer distractions, and you're training a hometown kid. Nothing to do up there at Robert's gym but focus, right? So is that why you like to go out of town for certain fights?
That's why Ruben likes it.
That's why Ruben
I like
likes
to be home.
Yeah.
I like to be home with my granddaughter.
All right, we'll throw that question to Ruben.
There is a lot of distractions at home, and of course, hey, you need to go see this person or that person, or you need to go to the store, this and that. It's all about getting ready for a fight here, mentally, physically, and rest. It's just as important as the work.
Well, and for you, there's a pretty nice pond on Robert Garcia's property.
It's a nice lake, and a nice lake. And I got up this morning and 3 casts and 3 bass with no problem.
How big's the biggest one you've caught?
It's about like a 3-foot catfish.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't believe that. That's
I caught a 3-foot catfish with a Walmart pole, which is a little bit better than Kmart, and a little bluegill hook with a 6-pound test line. So yeah, it's been fun this training camp.
All right, well, Ruben, speaking of ponds, you are already ranked number 8 by the WBO. If you win, you're going to be 17-0. You could get bumped up even higher, maybe. The WBO featherweight champ is Oscar Valdez. Sounds like Shakur Stevenson is probably going to fight Joet Gonzalez in an eliminator next. Right under those guys, you got Michael Conlon and Jesse Magdaleno, Carl Frampton, Ryan Walsh, Miguel Mariaga. Are you hoping or even expecting to fight one of those guys after Vivas?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of, hoping to hopefully get a world title shot within the next year. I've been doing this for so long, and I belong in those names, and I belong to be mentioned, and I belong to be in the ring with those guys eventually. So, all we've been doing is just winning fights, just being focused on our own career and, hopefully get that title shot soon.
Is it getting tougher to be patient?
In a way, but that's just my attitude towards life. I'm patient around everything. So, eventually we're going to have to break the door down and, get our way into that title shot.
Dean, you and I were talking about this before we went on the air. How strong is that featherweight division with Valdez and Warrington, Santa Cruz, and Gary Russell Jr., and Kid Galahad and Quigg and all those guys that I just mentioned before?
I feel it's the most stacked division in boxing right now, the 126. There's great champions at 30, 35. 40 is amazing with, Prograis and Taylor about to settle their stuff, and Ramirez waiting in the wings for that. And, you got a lot going on at junior middleweight and middleweight, but you don't have to look far in any direction at 126 and find a world-class fight. I mean, it's just any direction you look under any promotional banner, any network, it is just stacked with a world-class fight waiting for Ruben. So that's a plus for us because I don't think these fights are going to be hard to make. I'd like to get a few fights between now and then towards the latter half of 2020, look at the division and see who's where some of the dust settles with a few of these guys, and then make a run at it. 3 of the right fights going into 2020, and I think we'll be ready for any of the guys you just mentioned, any of them. Ruben's probably ready now. I wouldn't bet against him against anybody at 126, tomorrow. But ideally, I would like to get at least 2 or 3 more fights against the right opponents, just for a little more experience. We can fine-tune, hone his craft just a little more, sharpen him up. And, at that point, whoever they want to line up will be ready.
And Sam, you're a guy who lays awake at night thinking about this competition pretty closely. What do you think of the talent of 26?
It's super deep. So they're all guys that, come from the 2016 class. So they're all kind of peaking at the same time. So It's really, really deep. And you got a lot of guys with pretty educated amateur backgrounds. You got medalists and Olympians and, a guy like Ruben who's probably in 2016 was 1A, 1B between the best 123-pounders in the world as an amateur. It just so happens that the other one was Shakur Stevenson, who also is from the United States. So if you were able to take 2 guys from the same country, they would probably both made the Olympics, But it is what it is. So, looking back on it, it's just a big difference of why he's getting the attention, why he's with, the promoter he's with or whatever. So Ruben's got a different path, but it's probably the right path. So eventually that'll be a mega fight. I think that's the fight that I think boxing insiders and the people that in the know, people at Top Rank, we just ran into some great guys from Top Rank and Brad Goodman and Bruce Trampler last night at the fights here in San Bernardino. So, they know what's up. So Ruben Villa versus Shakur Stevenson in 2022 would probably be a super fight for a lot of gold on the line. And that's what our hope is.
Okay, I'm going to change directions here. Ruben, in March, you guys opened up Team Villa Gym in Salinas to some community kids and I think even some adults. Talk to us about why you guys decided to do that.
Really, it's because, my dad didn't really have, the manpower and, the knowledge to really get boxing classes started. So, Sam was around and, his group of guys were around. So my dad, asked him if he could help out and, get something running for the community. And that's what Sam and, our little team's been doing. We're getting a really good outcome of it, having around 10, 15 kids in the afternoon and another 10, 15 adults at night. So, everything is going pretty good as far as the gym. And, it's pretty fun watching, too.
I was just going to say, okay, this is for any of you guys. Tell me about the kids who have come to the gym. Are they a lot of fun? Do you spot any future champs? You got any comedians or characters? Any good stories?
And man, we got everything in the gym. We got everything. Got a little leprechaun. We got Blondie. A couple little girls. A couple of Sam's friends that want to be, you know, a couple of Ruben's friends that want to just get in shape. Football players that want to, you know, get better footwork and stuff like that. That's pretty much a lot of fun. And, of course, everybody has a nickname, you know. Now, here's Sam.
So he said this kid walks into the gym on his first day. He's like little kid. I thought he was like 5 years old. Turns out he's 7 going on 8. He's like a little kid. So my dad calls him Leprechaun because he's so small. And he said he stuck with the nickname Leprechaun. Leprechaun walks into the gym and he reaches out his hand and he says, "I'm gonna be your next world champion." I was like, "Yeah, this guy's got some balls, you know." So he's sticking with it. His cousin we call Blondie. He has bleached blonde hair. They're the ones that are like, you know, they're kind of like the core kids that come in and want to compete. A lot of kids that come in, they just they want to work out. It's a great place for parents to bring their kids to, you know, get off the video games and, you know, release some, build some confidence. And a lot of adults go in too. We've got a morning class at 6 a.m., 6 to 7:30 a.m., and then we're open from 3 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. So it's a pretty good crowd, and we're building quite the team.
Ruben, what's this like for you to have a bunch of little kids around in your gym? What kind of role did youth boxing play in your life? And you know, do you have flashbacks to your own youth when you're working with these kids?
Yeah, it plays a big role. You know, it got me off TV. It got me off video games. You know, probably even out of, you know, the streets of Salinas. You know, when you give, you know, these kids free time and, you know, go out and do whatever they want, you know, who knows what they're doing. So, and it's also, you know, the guys that we have in our gym, the coaches, you know, they're always real positive and, you know, give these kids a little bit more confidence in and out the gym. So, you know, it's pretty cool seeing, and it's pretty funny watching it now that I'm older and, you know, that I was in their shoes at one point. So it's pretty cool to watch.
You know, now that you're undefeated and ranked number 8 in the world, these kids, you know, whether you realize it or not, are looking at you in a certain way. But was there somebody, you know, a local pro or anything when you were a little kid that you just kind of idolized?
Not that I could really remember. You know, I was probably just too young to really pay attention and, you know, not even know if I was going to be doing this as a career. So now that, you know, I'm at where I'm at and worked hard most of my life, you know, I take, you know, my role really serious and, you know, try to give back as much as I can and, you know, talk to the kids, you know, the ones that are serious in amateur boxing and, you know, let them know, you know, it's not an easy path, but if, you know, listen to us, work hard and be disciplined, you know, you could really do something with your life in boxing.
Yeah, this is something people ought to know about you. You do a lot of work for your community, Salinas. You talk to kids at schools and stuff. You've done food drives in the city's Chinatown district, which is, you know, where some of the poverty is. You've helped with clothing drives. Well, why is that stuff important to you?
You know, just really growing up in Salinas, I've always seen stuff like that, and now that I'm in the position that I'm in, you know, boxing gave me a name and for me to do something, and, you know, why not do something positive for the people who need it? So, you know, that's always been, you know, like another passion of mine to help, you know, where I grew up and, you know, hopefully helps encourage other people to do the same.
And Max, Salinas has always had a lot of very good boxers, dating back to guys like Danny Lujan Jr., and you had Chuy Rodriguez. Those guys were both TV fighters. Jose Celaya was ranked number 1 in the world by the WBO. But the city's never had a world champion. What would it mean to this city if Ruben Villa IV, a hometown kid, it becomes the first?
Well, it'd be a tremendous achievement for the city of Salinas, considering that everywhere we go, everybody rolls their eyes when we say we're from Salinas, and everybody thinks that's just a violent place. But they don't publicize the good things that are coming out of Salinas, like the names you mentioned, and then other different sports also, not just boxing, but. It'd be awesome. It'll be history in the Monterey County, and we'd have a big old giant parade for Ruben. It'd be so awesome, and it's like Gilroy had Robert Guerrero. I'm so proud of that young man. That's the way it's going to be for Ruben and the city of Salinas.
Okay, Ruben, what's it like driving down the street in Salinas and seeing somebody you've never seen before in your life wearing a Ruben Villa T-shirt? Has that happened?
Yeah, it's happened a couple of times. I'm starting to get recognized a little more, when I'm at the grocery store or, like, when I'm out eating. I'm not too comfortable with it yet, but I feel like as it goes on, I'm getting better, talking to people and, taking more pictures and stuff like that.
Okay, do your sisters get annoyed when they see one? What do your sisters and parents do to make sure your ego stays under control? Are they pretty good at it?
Yeah, my it's more my sisters, they always say, "Oh, you're Ruben Villa's sister," and just stuff like that when they're working or they're at school. They always manage to bring me back down to my ego. So yeah, it's pretty funny.
Okay, last one for you. What's it like fighting on Showtime, knowing how many people are going to be watching you? Is it nerve-wracking? Is waiting the hardest part?
No, not at all. Just keeps me on my toes, and I really have to perform the best that I can, and it makes me work harder in training camp, and looking good. Winning is one thing, but looking good and winning is what I really plan on doing on every fight that I have. So if I win and don't look good, I'm pretty upset in the back, and I'm always hard on myself, so that's why I always strive to be the best and do the best at my job.
Okay, great stuff, guys. Ruben Villa fights Enrique Vivas on September 20th in Midland, Texas. These two guys combined are 33-0. You're going to see it live on Showtime. Always fun and enlightening to have you guys on the show. Ruben, Sam, Max, Dean Familton, best of luck on September 20th, fellas, and thanks for making some time for us today on the Ringside Boxing Show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dennis. Always
Thank you, Dennis. Take care of yourself, buddy.
We will. Okay, always a pleasure. Thanks, Ruben. Take care, man. Thanks, Sam.
Got it. Thank you, brother.
All right. Hey, do you like this podcast? Do us a solid. Tell other boxing fans about us. Post the Ringside Boxing Show on your social media outlets and help us grow. Also, if you haven't yet discovered the world's #1 website for daily boxing news, you got something to do right now. We update RingsideBoxingShow.com with the biggest headlines and most interesting stories every single day, 365 days a year. If you're a hardcore fan, this should be your first stop every morning and might be the only boxing site you need to visit all day. Discover us right now, and you will be amazed, guaranteed. RingsideBoxingShow.com. We want to thank our expert analysts, Travis Hartman, Rizwan Zahid, and John J. Responti for their weekly contributions to this show, along with our outstanding British correspondent, Paul McLaughlin. And another huge thanks to the 8th-ranked featherweight fighter in the world, according to the WBO, undefeated Ruben Villa IV, RV4, Dracula, and his team from Garcia Boxing. And, of course, we want to thank you, Ringside Nation, for being a part of our worldwide audience again today. Keep your chin tucked, and we'll talk to you again next week on the Ringside Boxing Show.
Well, it's a great day for me to whoop somebody's ass. It's a bad day, so you better get off of my back. You might get cold cocked if you cross my path. 'Cause it's a great day